6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Lal Malavarachi and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. Schools will be back to normal from tomorrow. The vote on the second reading of the budget will take place tomorrow. The Mirigama Kurunagala section of the Central Expressway will be open to the public on the 28th of this month. The daily count of COVID-19 cases moved to 725 yesterday. In news overseas, Hamas is to be declared a terrorist group by the UK. And in sports news, the first test between Sri Lanka and the West Indies will begin in Galle today. Those are the headlines, and now move on to the details of the local news. State, international and private schools will return to normal operations tomorrow, completing nearly 6 months after the last school closure mandated by the COVID-19 world pandemic. Children have lost over 80% of their schooling this year due to the pandemic. The Education and Health Ministries have ensured that the schools strictly follow the health guidelines and the children are safe in school. A guideline on catching up work for the state schools has been issued by the National Institute of Education and the Education Ministry. Schools are permitted to carry on catch-up work until the end of March next year to minimize the loss of teaching time during the past 1.5 years. The GC Advanced Level and Ordinary Level examinations of the year 2021 will be conducted during the first term of next year. The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 lifted the countrywide lockdown on October 1st and schools were permitted to operate from October 21st. Primary sections of schools with less than 200 students were reopened in early November. GC Advanced Level and Ordinary Level classes also resumed under the first phase. Grades 6 to 9 are due to begin tomorrow under the final phase. The government has also given the green light to operate private tuition classes under strict health guidelines. Sisasariya school bus service of the Sri Lanka Transport Board will be fully operational from tomorrow. General Manager of SLTB, Panduka Swarnaharnsa, said that all 741 buses allocated for the service will be operated from tomorrow. The vote on the second reading of the budget will take place tomorrow at 5 p.m. Subsequently, the committee stage budget will commence on November 23rd and will continue for 16 days, including Saturday, until 10th of December. The third reading of the vote will be held on December 10th at 5 p.m. The 2022 budget was presented to Parliament by Minister of Finance Basil Rajapaksa on 12th November at 2 p.m., followed by the budget speech. The second reading of the budget, which commenced last Saturday, will continue for 7 days until tomorrow. This is the 76th budget in the independent Sri Lanka and the second budget of the incumbent government and the first ever presented by Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. And we continue with more local news. The Mirigama Kurunagala section of the Central Expressway is scheduled to be vested with the public on the 28th of this month. Road Development Authorities said the event will be graced by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The 40-kilometer stretch of the road will feature 4 lanes and 5 interchanges at Mirigama, Nakala, Gamua, Dambokka, Kurunagala and Yakkapitiya. The Mirigama to Kurunagala stretch of the Central Expressway will enable the public to travel approximately 39.7 kilometers between the 2 points within 25 minutes. The expressway will link Colombo to Kandy, will be a boon for those who travel from Colombo to Kandy, Kurunagala and Dambulla. Then President Mahinda Rajapaksa launched the construction work of the Central Expressway on December 14, 2014 by laying a foundation stone at the Sengadagala entrance of the expressway. Highways Minister Johnston Fernando says the entire Central Expressway would be completed within the next 2 years. The total cost of the project is estimated at approximately 200 billion rupees. The daily count of COVID-19 cases confirmed in Sri Lanka moved to 725 yesterday. This brings the total number of confirmed cases of coronavirus reported in the country to 555,929. As many as 526,353 recoveries and 14,108 deaths have been confirmed in Sri Lanka since the COVID-19 outbreak. More than 15,400 active cases in total are currently under medical care. The Sri Lanka College of Microbiologists warned using antibiotics without a medical prescription to recover from novel coronavirus infection can pose serious health problems. Antibiotic resistance due to the unnecessary and excessive use of antibiotics is now developing into a global health crisis. According to the president of the Sri Lanka College of Microbiologists, consultant clinical microbiologist Dr. Geethika Pattabandige, a large number of people are using antibiotics to control the virus infection, making it impossible to control the disease that were previously treated with antibiotics. The World Health Organization has also cautioned that close to 10 million people are expected to fall victim to antibiotic-resistant bacteria by the year 2050 as a result of misuse and overuse of antibiotics. Dr. Pattabandige pledged and urged the people to refrain from using antibiotics without prescriptions issued by a medical officer to control COVID-19 infections. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. Schools will be back to normal from tomorrow. The vote on the second reading of the budget will take place tomorrow. The Mirigama Kurunagala section of the Central Expressway will be opened on the 28th of this month. The daily count of COVID-19 cases moved to 725 yesterday. And that was the local news.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vidya Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya.
The main news story for this morning, the regulatory prices for 60 varieties of essential drugs have been announced by the State Ministry of Pharmaceutical Production, Supply and Regulations. Accordingly, a maximum retail price has been imposed on 131 types of 60 essential drugs. Secretary to the State Ministry, Dr. R.M.S.K. Ratnayaka said the general public can inform the State Ministry of any irregularities through the email address complaint@nmra.gov.lk. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
Watch Life is brought to you by
Tertiary and Vocational Education Commission.
In Washla this morning, Deputy Director General of Health Services, Dr. Hemanta Herath says the aim of the health services is to normalize the country soon. He said it is the responsibility of all stakeholders to prevent gathering of people for various events. He pointed out that health authorities are making strenuous efforts to protect the people from the virus and to prevent it from being spread. Therefore, Dr. Herath said everyone in the country should support the health and other services to control COVID. And that came to you in the subsequent Watchlight.
If you follow technical and vocational education and training courses, select a course registered and accredited institute by TVEC. Be aware on unregistered institutes which are promoting without having registration. Visit www.tvec.gov.lk for more information. Message from Tertiary and Vocational Education Commission.
Coming up, World News.
Headlines of the world news. Hamas is to be declared a terrorist group by the UK. Somali journalist Abdulaziz Mahmoud Galoud killed in suicide attack. Rolls-Royce says its all-electric aircraft is the world's fastest. Those are the headlines, and now more to the details of the world news. Home Secretary Preeti Patel has announced she is seeking to declare the whole of Palestinian militant group Hamas a terrorist organization. The military wing of the group, which controls Gaza, is already proscribed as a terrorist organization by the UK. However, the change will also cover the Islamist movement's political wing. It is a criminal offense to belong to or invite support for a proscribed organization or wear clothing which could be seen to support the group. A prominent Somali journalist who was a critic of the Islamist militant group Al-Shabaab has been killed in a suicide bomb attack in the capital Mogadishu. Abdulaziz Mohammed Galoud, also known as Abdulaziz Africa, was targeted as he was leaving a restaurant in the city shortly after midday. 2 other people nearby were injured by the blast and were taken to hospital. Al-Shabaab said it was behind the attack and targeted the journalist who worked for Radio Mogadishu. Rolls-Royce believes its Spirit of Innovation plane could be the world's fastest all-electric aircraft. The firm, whose aerospace headquarters are based in Derby, said the plane reached a top speed of 387.4 meters per hour, that is 623 kilometers per hour, during the test runs at an experimental aircraft test site. It is thought to have set a new world record over 3 different distances. The figures have now been sent to World Air Sport Federation for verification. And to conclude the world news, the headlines once again. Hamas is to be declared a terrorist group by the UK. Somali journalist Abdulaziz Mohammed Galoud killed in suicide attack. Rolls-Royce says its all-electric aircraft is the world's fastest. And that was the world news.
Development News is brought to you by Let's take coal out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
And in development news, the new 4-storied administration building at the Sri Pali campus, University of Colombo, was inaugurated by Education Minister Dinesh Gunawardena last Wednesday. The building has been constructed at a cost of 150 million rupees. It consists of an auditorium and the administration office complex. And that came to you in the segment of development news.
Development News was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Moving on with sports news.
In sports news, the first test between Sri Lanka and the West Indies will commence today at the Galle International Cricket Stadium. Sri Lanka has announced a 22-member squad for their 2-test home series. Both teams are looking to strengthen their spin departments in this match. Skipper Dimuth Karunaratne will not underestimate the new-look West Indies test team. The Galle cricket wicket is most suited for spinners, especially after the first 2 days, and both teams are getting ready to take up the challenge. The only practice game between SLC Presidency 11 and West Indies was washed out without a ball being bowled at the SSC grounds last week. This test series will see the return to international cricket of senior players Karunaratne, Angelo Matthews and Suranga Lakmal, who were sidelined from the white ball cricket. The presence of experienced Angelo Matthews, Dinesh Chandimal and Dhananjay De Silva will strengthen the middle order. Praveen Vikrama, the 23-year-old leg spinner who finished with 11 wickets in his debut test against Bangladesh at Pallekele last April, is likely to play in the first test with wrist spinner Lakshan Sandakan, and Lasith Ambaldania too is in contention for a place. Meanwhile, the West Indies test team is ready to take up the challenge against Sri Lanka. The vice-captain Jermaine Blackwood said the T20 team's performance has not put any additional pressure on the test squad. That was sports news, business news coming up.
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee? 50 Go sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency through NSB U Trust for 6 months consecutively. Send more money and increase the chances of winning.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, Litro Gas Lanka Limited says that more than 800,000 domestic gas cylinders are expected to be released to the market within this week. Litro Gas Lanka Director Janaka Pathiratna said the company has already released over 700,000 domestic gas cylinders to the market within the past 7 days. He explained that the recent adverse weather, the shortage of kerosene oil, and their trading competitor not having adequate stocks of LP gas cylinders resulted in the increasing demand for domestic LP gas. That was the business news. Economic news follows.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee? 50 Go sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners.
And in economic news, Sri Lanka's manufacturing has recovered strongly in October 2021 to a 7-month high, with local orders in food and beverages and export in textiles, the Purchasing Managers Index showed. The central bank said this increase was due to the upcoming festive season in December. That is economic news and the weather report to conclude.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, brings Nanasa app, a trilingual educational mobile app for online learning with video-based lessons from grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with the Nanasa app. No subscription fees. Download via Google Play Store, App Store, Huawei Store or Windows. Dialogue, the future today.
And finally, the weather report. The Met Department says mainly fair weather will prevail over most parts of the island today. However, showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in the Uva and eastern provinces during the evening or night. General public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. And that was the weather report.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, brings Nanasa app, a trilingual educational mobile app for online learning with video-based lessons from grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with the Nanasa app. No subscription fees. Download via Google Play Store, App Store, Huawei Store or Windows. Dialogue, the future today.
And before we conclude this bulletin of news, let's get back to the headlines once again. Schools will be back to normal from tomorrow. The vote on the second reading of the budget will take place tomorrow. The Mirigama Kurunagala section of the Central Expressway will be opened on the 28th of this month. The daily count of COVID-19 cases moved to 725 yesterday. In news overseas, Hamas to be declared a terrorist group by the UK. And in sports news, the first test between Sri Lanka and the West Indies begins today in Galle.